People, deluded, I'm back again. Now, not many people care about youth football, but clearly I do. So, I've seen Harvey Elliott, George Hirst has signed for Leicester, Harvey Elliott of Fulham allegedly is going to be signing for Liverpool. And what was the other young player I was going to talk about? Louie Barry of West Brom, well, Barcelona now. Football's a funny old game, and when I tell you, lot, everybody's path is different, everyone's development is different. There's a lot of things that go behind the scenes that meet the eye that sometimes have nothing to do with a player that affects a player. Do you get it, people? And I think we'd speak about some because I feel in my journey of playing football and being deluded and having conversations with players and agents and just at this little ground level, I'm learning each and every time that football surprises you. First of all, we'll speak about Hirst. Now, Hirst, I believe, at a time was at Sheffield Wednesday. Hasn't he got famous relatives bit before my time? But obviously, if that's your last name, you probably got a baller somewhere, innit? My older heads patting that in the comments. But he's a good player, man. He's a decent goal scorer. He's a decent player. I'm not really sold on him of such for all the hype and things, but it's not for my opinion. My opinion's irrelevant. I'm not a coach and things. I think he's a good player. Like I said, you've seen him at Toulon tournaments and them things for England, previous at Sheffield Wednesday, turned down the contract and he went to, I cannot actually remember the name of the Belgian club. Sorry, people. I actually should have done my research. I'm not going to make a fool of myself and attempt it. I can't remember it, people. But it took a bit of people. It took people by surprise, and I won't say it's reminiscent of Zeki Friars, the ex-United player. He went to Spurs via Standard Liège, was it? Forgive me if I'm wrong. I remember Ferguson going crazy about that. He said this is what's going to happen. Spurs are going to try and bypass this compensation sort of rules and things and be a bit sneaky. As of United aren't clean as well. They've done it before, and as of Arsenal, there's not one club that ain't done these sort of things, or if not that, something else. He's going to go over to not Germany, Belgium, and then he's going to sign for Spurs. Ferguson said it was going to happen, and it happened. Now, he didn't go on to be a regular for Spurs, but that's happened with Hirst. Now, again, when I first saw that he was going to Belgium, I thought, oh, that's a bit, not weird, but alright, cool. Maybe with the young players going to other countries and things, that was the best project he saw. Not too many young players are going to leave a championship club to go to Belgium unless it's a team like Anderlecht or Liège to a degree. What was the thinking behind it? I was like, power to him, innit? I'm sure he had a bunch of suitors because of the attention he gets and stuff, both in the Premier League and Championship and League One and all other clubs, and probably some bigger, more reputable European nations. But for whatever reason, he didn't go to them clubs. So I thought, wow, that's a madness. Like, but then you found out now it's almost football's worst kept secret that the owners of that club are the same ones that own Leicester. So to a degree, and now if you remember, people, obviously if he turned down the deal at the time with Sheffield Wednesday, Leicester could have signed him for free. But you don't know, when it comes to youth players, there's certain compensation packages. That's what you're getting to see with a lot of German clubs and overseas clubs, kind of getting their payback on English clubs and exploiting it. Get on to Louie Barry to a degree after. They'll pay minimum compensation. Do you get it, sort of thing, people? Or if not that, it will just damn right be a free transfer. If not that, so he went there for a year. Now he signed for Leicester. Surprise! I don't know if he'll be in the first team or the under-23s. He's got Vardy to compete with, Iheanacho to compete with. Who else is there? They signed someone as well, Perez as well. So we'll see. Sticking with compensation packages, we might as well move on to Louie Barry, West Brom. You've seen my video about him. I believe he's a natural goal scorer. He's a baller. He's a very good player. He's gone from West Brom, turned down a scholarship to sign for Barcelona. I salute it. Of course, for the best of players, most established, 10 times older than him, or 10 years older than him, it's hard to establish yourself at Barcelona. So no one knows. At this moment in time, he certainly has potential, if he can go the way people believe, to at least attempt it in the first team and stuff. But even if he doesn't, it's a superb move. I mean, he's someone you're looking at. He's, 16 now? I'm pretty sure by the time he's 18, he would have been in and around West Brom's first team. So you could probably think on one hand, why are you going to Barcelona where they got Messi and this player and Neymar might join back to where you could play at West Brom and establish yourself? And there's nothing wrong with that. I'm sure he thought about it. But to a degree, it's Barcelona. The environment, he'll be playing in the youth gen competition, the youth equivalent of the Champions League. He'll be playing with, no disrespect, but a higher, richer, more attacking array of talent and defensive talent and players that are more of a higher standard of quality, players that we might not know about but are better than him. Yeah, he's a baller, people, and like I said, he's got a lot of potential, but he's gone to Barcelona where that's the minimum requirement. You got to think about it, people. If you're an A-star plus student and things like that, and you're acing stuff in your normal school, and the school say to you, listen, you can go to the best university ever, like Oxford or something. You go to Oxford, yeah, you was the best in this sort of fish around, not average students, but you excelled around general school kids and whatnot. You've gone to the posh private school. Being a smart kid, obviously we know there's people pushing their parents pushing their sons into these things. We don't need to go deep, but 9 times out of 10, you're there because you're smart. Now you go into that where there's 30 kids in the schoolroom, people, and they've all got in the A stars in the Latins, and they've all got 12, 13, 15 GCSEs. I wish I had that. All them sort of things, people. Are you really that smart? So he'll have to be able to compete with that, fighting to play week in, week out, better coaching, La Masia and all of them sort of things. Above all the football stuff, an education beyond football, people. Be in another country. He's 16, so I don't know if he's. I think he'll go to La Masia or whatever arrangements Barcelona got. And I don't know if his family will go, but I assume it's another country, another language, new teammates, different cultures, things like that. Stuff that will stay with him for life and make him a better person, let alone footballer. Again, Barca have only paid 100 odd K. Arsenal and other teams in England would have had to pay more if he rejected a scholarship, but he'll probably be worth it in a couple of years. Breaking through at Barca is mad. They only played 100 odd K, so if he can get an education there and break through and be a first team player or a player of sorts, that's great. If not, you'd like to think they make more than 100k or whatever off him. If worse comes to worse, you've had your education at Barcelona, you've come through at West Brom, and he's going to be a decent player. You will get the moves. The moves will happen, and things will happen for you with the education sort of aspect. There's no Barcelona definitely didn't offer him any assurances to go there, people, that he'd make it. They probably offered him the best sporting package, and obviously they sell their project, but there's probably no assurances that by this age you're going to be in the first team without obviously working hard. And it shows how footballers are a conveyor belt and they're crabs in a barrel. Because like I said, if he doesn't make it, of course his dream is now to make it at Barcelona. But if he doesn't, it's harsh. But it's like, so what? We paid up, regardless of your potential, paid 100 of K. If we sell you for £1 million, it looks like good business. We're Barcelona, so until the world stops spinning, we're going to have top players. So sort of thing. So if worse comes to worse, he will still become a Championship Premier League player in my opinion, but Championship player. So if worse came to worse, but I don't blame him for turning it down. And you saw him linked with Juventus as well, PSG, a lot of clubs in England and City. And City, you're seeing them linked with Morgan Rogers, and they signed a young lad from Millwall, under 16s, under 15s, one of them. There's not a City are the best when it comes to scouting English talent, in my humble opinion. Everybody, to be fair, in Europe, but specifically English talent. There's not a young player I haven't seen, in my limited knowledge, that you haven't seen a City link or City linked with to some capacity. So that's a funny old one. And then you've got Harvey Elliott. Now, he obviously played some minutes here and there for Fulham in the Premier League. He broke some statistics. He's a decent player in the future. Again, potential is just potential. It's down to these players to realise it. But allegedly, he's going to go to Liverpool. Now, he rejected a scholarship for whatever reason, we'll never know. If he's on the cusp, as that guy in the comments said, cusp of first team at Fulham and he's involved, you'd be inclined to believe next season he might be playing first team, maybe not week in, week out, but he'd be in and around the first team environment at Fulham, getting minutes. That would surely be better than, obviously he can do that at Liverpool if the potential's there and Klopp deems him that, but what I assume is initially under 18s, under 23s, sort of thing. Yeah, you'll train with the first team, probably travel in cup games, probably play a couple of games, but you'd like to think he won't see Liverpool trying to kick on for the league, and he's not currently a player, as much as I love his potential, not someone that's going to help them win the league right now. They can develop players, but you see what I'm saying, people? There's him, you got Curtis Jones, you got all of them, so he'll just be another sick player in and amongst a good environment. Who knows, in terms of the compensation package Liverpool will have to pay, I don't know how much it is. It's got to be a couple of million, people, based on him, the fact that he's played in the Prem and his potential. And it's sad, really, for Fulham, because he could have been first and foremost a first-team player for them, if not someone that could be sold for a lot of money. The same goes for West Brom's Harvey Elliott, and Louie Barry, and whatnot. And then obviously George Hirst was a bit irrelevant to this conversation, but I just find it mad, like it's different moves and stuff like that, and it shows you how different football is. I'd love to know Harvey Elliott's reason for going there, because again, he'll be playing in the youth gen, I assume. Obviously it's Klopp and things like that. I know the reasons for signing for Liverpool, but I'd like to know. I always like to know the specific reasons that tip the balance for these players. Like, it's irrelevant, but Ndombele, when if you haven't seen his comments on L'Equipe or whatever the French thingy is, he was talking about how Pochettino convinced him to sign for Spurs, and he talked about how he would develop him and how he saw him and how he wanted to develop him but keep him as the same Ndombele and things like that. Like, I always find that sort of stuff interesting. So I'd love to know what tipped the balance and said Liverpool versus potential first team next season at Fulham. Because again, he might not have got first team football at Fulham. He's 16 years of age, people. He's just turned 16 or he's 16 or whatever. Potential, just potential. But you just got to leave a man to develop and grow without gassing it. Because I feel a lot of players have potential. And I want to see everybody realise it. But I feel potential is the greatest buzzword in football nowadays, people. João Felix and Mbappe, they're probably the highest form of examples I could find, people. Terrific players. I believe God chose them sort of man there to be footballers, but are they currently really worth, at this moment in time, I'm not saying tomorrow or whatnot, and I'm not saying they're not good players, but are they worth the figures for what they are, people? Or was the deal negotiated by the buying and selling club based on his potential? Monaco wouldn't have gotten 200 odd million or whatever PSG paid if Mbappe didn't have that potential. PSG wouldn't have paid it. The same goes for the other example. Potential is the biggest buzzword in football, and I feel it's sad because I feel a lot of people talk about potential and they don't understand development, injuries, all sorts of things and variables are factors in people developing. Very few players really hit these potentials. Very few players actually had this potential. It's just when fans bandwagon and get on that sort of stuff and they build up these players to shoot them down. It really annoys me with these young players. Harvey Elliott, for example, I believe he's same as Barry, potential to be England regulars one day, but something, God forbid, something might happen in their career where they just don't reach that potential. Do you get it, people? That might have been the way life was always meant to pan out for them. So I believe in just letting people work and stuff. It's down to all of them. It's down to them to work hard, but there's also external factors, people. I just feel potential generally is a massive buzzword in football and people get carried away with it and stuff like that. And it's getting out of hand, really. But enough of that rant about potential and me getting on my youth cap and things like that. I'm going to get out of here, man. People, Deluded, I'm out. As you can see, I'm pretty sure you guessed by now, the videos are a tiny bit brighter, but these lights are very hot, people, and I'm beginning to sweat, so I'm going to keep it pushing. Thank you for watching, as usual. Your support, can't put into words what your support means, people. Without your support, the thing couldn't go. Yeah, man, thank you very much for watching and tuning in, however you're watching this, wherever you're watching this. People, Deluded, I'm out, man. Bang, don't even have the Deluded t-shirt on.